It's Karen.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. 6 months ago, we were just a few mums and dads who recognised a pattern of similar illnesses amongst our daughters. Today, we represent over 130 teenage girls, with more reports every week of girls displaying a similar pattern, debilitating side effects. The Department of Health and the HSE have acknowledged that they know some young women will suffer detrimental effects from the vaccine. We represent 130 of these girls. My daughter Laura celebrated her 18th birthday last week. This is her story. When Laura first brought home the consent form from school in 2010, I read it thoroughly. I also went on the World Health Organization website to educate myself about this vaccine, as it was new here in Ireland and I didn't know much about it. After reading the information supplied by the HSE, I felt not only reassured that this was a safe vaccine, but also that this was something very important for my little girl and her future health. I naively thought that all details, both good and bad, had to be printed to enable parents to make properly informed choices for their children. After Laura's vaccination, she became severely fatigued on a daily basis. Her short-term memory and concentration were deteriorating. She also started to experience food intolerances for the first time. Severe daily headaches, burning muscles and joint pain were her constant companions. She was unable to continue with sports, which had played such an integral part of her life before the vaccination. Her friends stopped calling as she didn't have the strength to go out with them. Slowly, life as Laura knew it was changing. To put things in perspective, my mother in her 80s was going out to daycare, whilst Laura was left lying in bed or on the couch. We had to use my mother's wheelchair for Laura when she didn't have the energy to walk. It was plain for anyone to see something was very seriously wrong. We started to visit our GP more and more. No one seemed to have any idea what was going on. Tests and more tests were performed, nearly every box on the blood forms ticked. Every kind of sample you could imagine was requested, yet none of the results showed any clues as to what was wrong with my daughter. Weeks and months went by at a time, with Laura lying in her bed, exhausted but unable to get any kind of rejuvenating sleep, racked with pain and barely able to communicate. The weeks became months. We saw less of her around the house, as she was spending most days in her bed. At her lowest point, I found her younger brother Connor spoon-feeding her, as she didn't have the strength to feed herself. She moved into a spare bed in his room, as she was lonely and afraid on her own. 5 years post-Gardasil, my daughter is so debilitated she could not attend her uncle's wedding and struggled to attend both her grandparents' funerals. She is no longer able to attend family outings with us, and we feel guilty if we leave her at home. Laura knew from an early age what she wanted and had her sights set very high. Since receiving the vaccination, all this has changed, as Laura has missed nearly her entire school education. Did I say secondary school education? Now, this is Laura's story in her own words. Hi, my name is Laura. I'm 18 years old and I live in Louth. I am one of the far too many girls who have been affected by the HPV vaccine, Gardasil. It has rendered my life very difficult. I am lying here in bed when I should be in school preparing for my leaving cert. My cognitive function is so bad I can't even manage homeschooling at the moment. My symptoms include chronic fatigue, chronic pain, severe headaches, dizziness, short-term memory loss, very poor concentration, food intolerances, cysts, heart and breathing difficulties, both light and noise sensitivity, and menstrual disruption. I'd like to think I'm an intelligent girl and was aiming to study psychology in Trinity. I was playing basketball and kayaking. I had so many friends and wanted to travel the world. Now all these things have been taken from me. You have no idea how horrible this is. My own mother has devoted every second of her life to helping me and finding me relief in expensive therapies, supplements, and hopefully one day a cure. Not only has this vaccine taken my life, it's stolen my mother's. I am 5 years down the line now, and I have just turned 18. I try my best to keep positive, but at this point, I don't have the energy to keep going the way I am. I just want recognition and help for all these girls. We've been put in a box for far too long. And that's Laura's testament. There is no support system in place by the Irish government or the HSE to cater for all these previously healthy Irish girls suffering ongoing chronic and long-term symptoms post-Gardasil. Their fate is unknown and their debilitating health issues are potentially lifelong. Many of these girls will never complete their Leaving Cert. We have to provide holistic, long-term treatment plans for these girls. Financially, families are not coping with the ongoing need for doctors, specialists, hospital stays and medication. We need to get help for these kids to explore alternative options for schooling and education and allow them exemptions if attempting to sit their Leaving Cert. We need to support these girls with basic requirements such as disability allowances and medical cards, as their condition is not being recognised. So, Deputies and Senators, thank you for your time and interest in young women across the country affected by this state-sponsored HPV vaccination programme. We are now asking you for the following: the suspension of the HPV vaccine programme pending a full, independent and transparent investigation into the safety of the HPV vaccine, including the many long-term side effects and adverse reactions suffered by the girls in R.E.G.R.E.T. Recognition and acknowledgement of our daughters' post-Gardasil conditions, followed up with holistic approach medical treatments by specialists in this area. Financial assistance for our families in meeting their children's ongoing medical needs. That a task force comprising senior officials from the Departments of Health, Education and Social Welfare is urgently established to fast-track support for our daughters. That the HSE provides full information to parents, including the patient information leaflet as drawn up by the drug company, which requests that parents inform their healthcare provider if their daughter experiences any of the 21 known side effects as part of the informed consent process. I hope that the stories of these 130 Irish teenage girls have triggered a positive response here today, and that you will all help us ensure that their immediate and long-term needs are met. This is the very least they deserve from us, as their futures have been so unfairly impacted upon by the medical decisions outside of their control. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.